Hello YouTube, it's DasGregor, and welcome back to another Linux distribution First Impressions. Today we'll be looking at a request for a distribution that is not on the distro watch. This is a customized distribution of Unity. It is called Unity Dark. Now there's two different flavors of this. The one that I was actually asked to do a review on is Unity Dark Beta 32-bit. I did attempt to install it, and it constantly was failing on me. I finally figured out when working with the 64-bit what the problems were, and I do have a short video clip that I did in a virtual box to show you what was happening and what was going wrong, and it was kind of interesting because what I pretty much found out was that if the UVC video module was loaded, the install would attempt to ask you for a picture for your profile, and then the continue button would be frozen and you could no longer go forward. You could back out, but if you backed out only one spot, you couldn't go forward. You had to back out back to the beginning, and then you could go forward, but then you'd be stuck again. I let it run to see if it would just continue to go and if that was just a weird bug, but it never completed the install and it blew up. In the Unity Dark 64-bit version, the UVC video module doesn't get loaded. So after it asks you for your keyboard configurations, your time zone, etc., it just goes right into an install and finishes, completing without incident. The install is quite simple, and in the video clip that I'll show you now, you'll see that for the most part it's straightforward, except for this hiccup if you have your built-in webcam working. Okay guys, I'm in a virtual session right now because I just want to be able to point out a couple problems that I had with the installation of Unity Dark Beta. First off, when you first boot into the live media, you get the LibreOffice 3.5 error about the account. It's not a big deal. You can just go ahead and hit yes to continue. But then when you do the custom install, it blows up and won't let you install it. And I'll show you what I mean here. I'm going to go ahead and just leave my internet offline for now because I'm not caring about how the updates work. I just want to point this out and show it to you real quick. I'm just going to go ahead and pause the video long enough to get the install going, and we'll get started again here. Okay, we're back, and I've just gone ahead and gotten to the partitioning part here where we go ahead and tell it to install now. So I click on install now, and it starts to go through. It's going to ask me for my time zone here in a moment. So for now, since I just don't care, I'm just going to leave it New York. Hit continue. It'll then ask me for my keyboard settings, which should pop up, and those are all proper, so we hit continue. Now here's where it kind of blows up and does some weird stuff. That is new. That is interesting. You know, I did something a little bit different, and we never got that before. So I'm going to back up here in a second. And see. That's different. It never ever asked me for who I was. It went straight to a screen that turned on my webcam and then asked who I was. Well, let's see if it'll still do it. And if it works this time, that is quite interesting. The only difference that I did was that I told it not to do updates and not to install third-party software. Otherwise, everything else was identical, but since I don't have the network turned on right now, I figure there's no sense in telling it to do that. So, we're at the keyboard layout, we hit the next. And see here, this is what it does. So you noticed before it actually went to the user where it wanted information. Well, now this is what it has been doing. It goes to here where you can grab this, take a photo for your picture and all that, or you can choose one. Well, if we choose one, we can no longer hit continue to go on. It's kind of stuck. And if you hit the back button and it takes you back to your keyboard area, you can't hit the keyboard button to go forward. And if you hit the back button again, so you get to here, you can hit continue again. And if you hit continue again, you can do that again, and you get back to where it says choose a picture. And once you get here, you're stuck again, and it doesn't work. Now what will happen is it'll finish copying, and then it just hangs, and then you can't do anything, and you can't go forward. And it doesn't matter if you go into the live CD like we're now, or if you just boot directly into install it manually. It does the same thing. Now what's interesting is how the very first time we went through this, it actually asked about user information. That's the first time in the 32-bit and the 64-bit that I ever got asked user information. And now, of course, as you see, it's skipping that port altogether. And I'm not sure what's doing that, but it's definitely a bug in the install and won't let me install it this way. So I just want to kind of put this little blip out there too to add to the review so you can see what it's doing there. And if developers are watching or people who are related to this project are watching, they can see. Now, the one thing I want to note too is if you have your webcam turned off or the module not working, it skips this step and just goes straight to installing, doesn't ask any more questions, and then just finishes installing the whole system, and then you can move forward that direction. But that's the first time I ever saw it ask about user information. And I'll go ahead and pause the video and go back to my normal review now. Thanks a lot. Okay, hopefully if all that worked, then you will now have that little clip. This is going to be the first time I've ever done this. I actually did a couple clips of some problems that I saw, and I'll get into the second set of issues in a moment. Let's talk about Unity Dark Beta. And I'm sorry, I'm a little stuffy today. I think I'm coming down with a cold. Throat's a little sore. But I didn't want to disappoint you guys if I could disappoint you further. But anyway, Unity Dark Beta. It's kind of neat to see somebody take something and put their own flair to it, make it really unique. I appreciate and applaud the effort. I think it's a great thing to do. But I've run into so many problems with this particular distribution, and I don't know if it's because of the customizations that have been made, or if just Unity in general has some major flaws to it. In the next video clip that I'm going to show you, I did a full update like I normally do after getting the system installed, and then go into the updates and let them run. And afterwards it completely hosed the system. It didn't make it so I couldn't boot anymore, but once I was inside the system, everything was just wonky. The whole video system was pretty much worthless and destroyed. In the video clip, you'll see what I was experiencing, and at the end of that I pretty much had to wipe it and reinstall it and just make sure that I did not allow the updates to go through. Okay guys, so I'm looking at Unity Dark Beta. Now this is actually the 64-bit version, and I'm going to try to push just this section here into my review because I'm going to re-image and see if I can get things back up and running. But after an update from Ubuntu, this, as you can see, is what I'm getting everywhere. Screen's not refreshing. If I blow something away, flames occur, but they don't go away. Oh, that one did. There we go. See what that one does. See? Well, it looks like the window is at least keeping itself refreshed, but this is just a weird issue of many. I have not had very much luck with this. This is a personalized, tweaked version of Unity from Ubuntu, and maybe it works on somebody else's hardware better, but it does not like my hardware. Now this is the weirdest stuff that I started getting right after doing, like I said, a Ubuntu update, and thought before I wipe it and try again and do not update so I can try to do something else, I just show you what's happening here. And probably back to the rest of the video now. Okay, hopefully that video clip worked. Hopefully this works all together. I'm not one to take and paste things in and try different video techniques. I'm normally let's just record it, whether I fail or, well, if I fail too much, I stop and restart and just try again. But I'm sort of like a one-hit wonder with the recording. So now that we've gotten those two things out of the way, discuss a few things here that I really did like about Unity Dark Beta. Some of the applications that he included by default I appreciated, such as having the Netflix desktop. I did test it. It did work right out of the box. He has some interesting things here too, like Evasion. Evasion is a jailbreaking software for iPhones and iPads. I'm not an iPhone fanatic and I don't really care for iPads or anything Apple related, but it is there, it is available, and it's kind of nice that he put it on there just in case you guys would need that and be able to use it. Another interesting program that he put on there was Walk. And in here are a whole bunch of really cool wallpapers, which I found to be quite interesting. I did like a lot of this theme's unique behavior, and I did like his concept art and his choices that he had to throw in to kind of make it his own. They were interesting. I enjoyed it. It was interesting to note that there was an option just to install it without going into a live distribution area, and while this is using GNOME, his installation was actually running Ubuntu, which is KDE's version of Ubuntu. And while nothing would come up except for the installation and allow you to go forward by setting up your network and then going into that, I thought it was interesting that he used Ubuntu instead of GNOME for the installation part. But just looking through here, as you can see, there's a lot of interesting artwork, and I like it. It's kind of interesting, dark, different. I kind of like the whole gray. Maybe it's just my personality. I'm not much of a colorful person. My favorite colors, are fall colors like browns and oranges. I do like a really good dark green, forest green per se, but I also am real big with just shades of gray. Not because I'm colorblind or anything. Anyway, we've looked at a lot of those. There's plenty more to look at. And if we go down and just kind of look at some of the other things that he's installed here, he has Google Chrome, but he also has Firefox. He does have a YouTube browser, which is interesting. You can actually go in here and pick applications, or different videos, I'm sorry, and they will play within the SM player, which is just another flavor of MPlayer. Let's see here. Ability to customize the conky, which is this over here. I didn't customize it this time. He only shows 2 cores. Of course, I know I have 8, so it's not showing the other 6 but it is kind of interesting how much RAM I'm using on the Wi-Fi, how much signal I'm getting, upload, download. It's interesting when I'm not really doing anything on the internet, it's still downloading just a little bit every once in a while, like a heartbeat. Steam was installed, which was quite nice. Screen Cloud and LibreOffice, the tweaking for Ubuntu, and Ubuntu Software Center. Now, the workspace picture, all that, no worries. Now, like I said, I did find out the hard way with the Ubuntu Software Center here. Let me pull it up. Oops. There we go. Make sure everything's ready here. I've been having a lot of network trouble. I need a new laptop someday. Once again, they didn't clean up all of this stuff here. I don't like seeing things that... I just wish you could filter out some of that stuff. And it's not that I'm a freak about being free. It's just I don't like confusing new people with, hey, I thought this was supposed to be open source software, and I thought this was supposed to be somewhere where I could look and get software and try it and use it without having to pay something. And I don't like confusing people with prices like that. Once you get into it and you understand Linux a little better, then things like this aren't too bad. I just don't like it thrown in my face right away. But it's the same as any other Ubuntu that you have there. Now, when it tried to install the updates, it did have about 600 plus megs of updates to go through, and that's a lot for the updates. And like I said in a comment recently about the stability of Gen 2, I can't count how many times a Ubuntu update setup has blown up a distribution that I was looking at or working with. It's just terrible that way. And it always makes me a little afraid when I see, oh yeah, 600 plus megs, 400 packages, 600 packages need updated. That's just a sure sign that something's going to go wrong, something's going to get hosed, and something's going to die. And sure enough, that happened here. Now, I can't say that it's because of the customizations that have been made within this version, or if it's just standard, well, that's Ubuntu. It just isn't that good. Now, I do have up here the two web pages, because like I said, you can't get this distribution within the DistroWatch, so you have to do a Google search on Unity Dark Beta, and you'll find that at SourceForge Projects, Unity Dark Beta, you can get the 32-bit version here, and at SourceForge.net Projects Unity Dark 64, you can get the 64-bit. Now, like I said, they had requested initially the 32-bit version of this. I couldn't get it to install proper, so I went to, this is actually the Unity Dark 64 that I'm running right now, and now that I know that it's a issue of the UVC video module, I think I could probably go back into the 32-bit version, turn that stuff off, and then try to run the install, and it probably would work fine, and I could probably get past it. But at this point, I'm not going to bother. This, of course, like I've mentioned, is GNOME, so it comes with all the negatives that GNOME has, that, in my opinion, GNOME 3. But they have done a great job putting it together, customizing it, giving it a unique look and feel. Despite some of its issues with the some of the updates and that sort of thing, it has been fun to use. The only negatives, like I said, when I updated, it blew everything up. That makes me fearful that, gee, this is only good as long as you just leave it just like it is and you don't do anything else to it. But it is a cool theme. I like it. Anyway, that's Unity Dark Beta. Hopefully everything worked well with my splicing for those kind of other couple segments that I threw in there. Hopefully this is a good review that you enjoy. Stay tuned for more, and we'll be moving forward. So as I always say, if it's morning, evening, noon, or night, whatever you're having, enjoy it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. I'm sorry Google Plus is destroying the comment sections. I really hate what Google's doing with that, and there's not so much we can do about it because they don't give us answers. I mean, I feel like I got tricked into even getting a Google Plus account because they kept trying to change my account name inside there, and I kept saying, no, don't change the account name. And then all of a sudden it says, okay, would you like to keep DasGregor as your account name? I said, yes! And then suddenly, welcome to Google Plus. It's all been set up for you. It's like, crap. I didn't want that. What can you do? Big corporations. That's why I hate them. That's why I like Linux. Someone asked me one time, how is it that you can like Linux and when it's the way it is? And I said, well, it's not so much that it's the way it is as much as Linux keeps big business most of the time, big government out of it. I despise big government. I despise big business. I prefer, you work hard for what you get, and that is what it is. But anyway, sorry, got on that little rant. I'll shut up because with those other things that I'm throwing in here, this is probably going to be a pretty long video. Till next time, thanks a lot. Bye.